Hello everyone, welcome to nereasanchannel channel. In this week's video, I'm gonna share with you guys the process of choreographing, how we made the choreographies, how we created the roles, and we casted each dancer in it. Let's get started! In the past, when I was a teacher and a coach in the schools of the companies where I was working, I did do some work of passing on some of the variations that I learned as a student and as a professional. Even in my YouTube channel, I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to do the simplified version of some of the most difficult variations, like I did Aurora and Kitri, I believe. That's kind of where I was in terms of choreographing. I never did a piece from zero by myself. It was always like modifying an existing variation or adapting the variation to the dancer that had to dance it. One of the things that I enjoyed the most as a coach and a teacher was adapting the variation to the specific student to highlight their strengths and their potential. Of course, always keeping the style, always keeping the traditions, always keeping the essence of the variation. But in terms of steps, I would say that the variations are quite modifiable. So that's what I enjoyed doing, as well as dancing. I must admit that in the very beginning of the process, I didn't feel as confident to choreograph something from zero because I felt a little bit intimidated by it. I wanted to do a great job, I wanted to translate the story to the audience, and as well as look for a style, look for, you know, the true essence of our production to build it. It's not like an independent dance piece that you can perform in a gala. This time it's a whole ballet, so the 1 hour 20 minutes, all of it has to make sense, even though we make piece by piece, right? I think that I discovered myself as a choreographer in this process, and I really enjoy choreographing and working with the dancers in the studio and getting to create something together. I think that it's one of the things that I enjoyed the most while creating Aladdin the Ballet Show. Let's talk about the choreographing process and the casting of the characters to the dancers. There's always this debate, what comes first, the music or the choreography? Some choreographers need to hear the music first to get inspired by it, and then the movement comes to their minds. Some other choreographers have the steps in their head and then they find the right music to kind of fit their movements. Some other choreographers need the dancers to be right there with them in the creative process, to get inspired by each other and making the moves together. So there are many different ways that a ballet can be choreographed. In my case, I did have steps in my mind that I wanted the Ruby to do. For the corps de ballet, I also had some steps, but because you're working with way more people, I was looking to make formations and shapes on stage. So I would say that for soloist choreography, I had steps in my head first, and then of course listening to the music and meeting the dancer was like merging both my ideas with what it was possible in the music. And as for the corps de ballet, I did have little steps, little arm pour de bras that I wanted to do, but I had to listen to the music first in order to make the formations, in order to arrange the dancers. For each individual character, we write down the characteristics of the role. So for sure the Ruby is going to be playful, it's going to be shiny, it's gonna be an exciting character overall. Creating the role also depends on the entire production. For example, now with the Beauty and the Beast ballet show, we are starting fresh, right? And so we see the storyline, we see the new characters, and we see, okay, we have a funny character, we have an evil character, we have a serious character. So there has to be a balance in the ballet. Not all of them can be evil, not all of them have to be funny, not all of them have to be sad. So I think in order for the whole production to make sense and to have a balance, we need diversity in the characters. And then, of course, we have the audition, we meet the dancers, and we find a few people who can actually suit the role. When you meet the dancer, again, you have some steps that you want to do, you can even have a full variation choreographed, but it would also depend on the dancer that you pick. In this case, we did modify some of the steps, some of the turns in order to suit her better. And I always communicated with the dancers, like, if you feel that a step is awkward, you don't feel comfortable doing it, let me know, because as a choreographer, as an artistic director, I want my dancers to feel comfortable and confident. Confident is a very big word, because on stage I want them to have fun and enjoy as well as shine as a dancer. I'm speaking for myself. At the end of the day, seeing tricks on stage is great, and I believe that in Aladdin the Ballet Show we had some parts that were technically very demanding, but I prioritize the dancer feeling confident over having some tricks, right? Because as the audience, they can also feel if a dancer is not 100% secure in their technique, if they are feeling, you know, like scared. The audience can also feel that. So I want to remove that completely, and there's actually no need. In ballet we have thousands of steps, so of course, you know, we don't have to just stick with one. And of course we also need to add each dancer's individuality. If you give the role to a dancer, right? You explain the steps, you explain the role, you explain her part in the story, you give all this material to a dancer. But then the beauty of ballet and the beauty of creating a show is trusting the dancer with this material to make the role unique in their body. As a professional ballet dancer, I experienced the same when I did Gelsey, when I did Aurora. Of course, the steps have to be there, the musicality has to be there. You need to tell the story that has to be told in each ballet. But as an artist, you also have to feel your individuality. And I also prioritize that in the production. I would say that advice is specifically for the soloist and principal characters. For the corps de ballet, it's a totally different story. For the corps de ballet, what I was imagining and seeing was impressive shapes, formations, visually outstanding movement. And I think the beauty of the corps de ballet is when everybody is dancing the same at the same time. There's a magic in there. It doesn't look human. It looks like something out of this world. That's art. When you are dancing it may feel like, I would like to do a different arm, but that actually ruins the whole image for the corps de ballet. That ruins the visual beauty, the visual magic. So that's the challenge when working with the corps de ballet, right? It's a different approach, it's a different beauty. If you see ballets like Swan Lake, they say that the main of the production is actually the corps de ballet because, you know, visually the dancers dancing is actually what carries the ballet and what makes the ballet shine. One of the challenges that we had is we didn't have the dancers with us in the studio from the beginning. We only had 11 rehearsals in a studio, which is quite amazing. I'm so proud of our dancers for working so hard, for being patient with us. Maybe in some of the videos you also saw me carry this black notebook everywhere. This is where I created the choreography. This is where I wrote down the notes, anything for the production. I think this is gonna be like my treasure, and years after we're gonna look back and read these notes, or when we do Aladdin again, it's gonna feel so nostalgic. If somebody takes this and tries to figure out the variation, probably it would be so hard to figure out, but somehow it worked for me. So here you can see the Ruby start pose. And then here is where she's moving, like going there and coming back. All these diagonals and shapes. Pirouette piqué, right? So if there's a phrase of turns, I would put it like that. Pirouette piqué, and going here, and here are the jewels coming in, and here are the jewels moving in this motion, coming in, the pyramid that was made, and then going in from the outside into one line, then making it one line. Here says like 8 phrase, 9 phrase, 7 phrase. And then again, jewels opening it up, making the circle. Here's when Aladdin approaches the circle, and many more. This is also how we choreographed the pieces where we had many different characters, not just the corps de ballet or not just the soloist. We had sections for the corps, sections for the soloist, sections for all together, sections with the principals. So here you see the Ruby comes in, Ruby pas de deux, A and R is Aladdin and Ruby. When we were writing for a long time, we just ended up using a letter to call the characters because it was faster, especially if you have to write it down many times. Huge part of choreographing for this ballet was to find movements and styles of the country where this story was based. So in order to come up with movements for the choreography, I was also watching and getting the inspiration from ballets that were also based in that place, as well as not only ballet. I was watching traditional dance moves, traditional dance videos. It was also super interesting. As a dancer myself, I actually haven't danced any ballets like that. Ballets like 1001 Nights, Scheherazade. I watched all of them and I got inspired from all of them. It was a great growing experience. I've never done this pose on stage before. Even in the Nutcracker, I've never danced the Arabian dance. That's how new this was to me, like all these movements. Of course, I learned it in Bolshoi Ballet Academy, and we also had character dances with all different movements, but I never performed like things like that, right? Was always kind of like a dream, so I also fulfilled one of my dreams. I not only wrote down the choreography, but sometimes it was easier to just record myself when I had some ideas, so we can react to some of these videos. This, I believe it was the jewels. You see here I go back again, pause the music, and go back again, thinking about the steps. For the jewels, I created this hand to make it like a signature, to make it special for them. And as I said, for the corps de ballet, the steps are not as difficult to do itself. Of course, they all need to be together. That's the difficult part. But here you can see my face of focus. It's actually funny. Oh, this is Jules still. I think this was kind of like the first sketch. My concentration face is kind of funny. We changed this at the end. Of course, this was also performed on pointe shoes. So I also had that in mind. But we were doing this for a long time, so I couldn't stay on point all that time. I believe this was like the very first version of it. This is also different. We changed all of this. Also, this was different. La la li la la. This is kind of similar. The jewels were coming in here. So many things to keep in mind. The corps de ballet, the soloist, the principal. And you see here, like, I'm doing this with the hands, that means the corps de ballet is going. When I do this, that means a period. Period, period, period. The opening of the third act, that was inspired by belly dancing videos and some of the arms that they were doing. All of these were kind of original. The hip movements as well. As ballet dancers, we don't use our hips like this a lot. We tend to keep it all more square, more, you know, focused. But as you can see, the dancers that we need for our productions have to be super versatile. They have to be able to keep it strong and do technical things, but also be able to let it loose at some points, and they need to adapt to many different movements. For the future audition, now Beauty and the Beast, the ballet show, we'll have the auditions in April. We will be looking for dancers to feed our show and to create the show with us. It says Aladdin the ballet show here. The next one is gonna be the same color, Beauty and the Beast, the ballet show. And we are only now on the first page. There's lots to go. Right now, what I can tell you is that we already created very interesting, new, unique characters for this production. I can guarantee you that the audition process for this ballet is going to be super exciting. So, of course, we're gonna be recording all of that, sharing with you. I'm so excited. I shared with the dancers of Aladdin the ballet show that as a choreographer, this was my first experience in seeing these, the ideas, the thoughts, all the work that we did in here and in here come to life and see dancers dance your thoughts, literally. It was like a miracle happening in front of my eyes, and I look forward to creating way more of this in the future. If you guys haven't gotten your tickets yet, please go get them, because the last day in Tokyo I think is almost sold out, if it's not sold out at this point. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description box where you can check everything. The tickets, you can check the crowdfunding if you wanna donate for our show, and stay tuned for all the news of the production. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Thank you for following us on our journey. Many more things are to come. If you don't want to miss it, please channel登録お願いします。Subscribe to the nereasan channel. 高評価お願いします。Give it a like. And I'll see you in the next video. またねー。